Hi, everybody. I'm here with Destiny Muhammad, our wonderful workshop mentor for September 18th. Hi, Destiny.
Hey, Lolly.
I'm so excited about our workshop. And I
Oh,
wanted to ask you uh, I know you're going to talk about harp history and your influences. Can you give us a little bit of a background on what you'd like to focus on for our workshop?
really good question. So, what I want to focus on is harp history, and I want to focus in on harp history as it relates to jazz. And I will be centered on two of what I call my harp folk, my harp mamas, Alice Coltrane and Dorothy Ashby. These are the two who have been the foundation of my reason for really wanting to go into jazz. And so, my conversations will be about them, their life, and their life in jazz, and just being and myself coming into jazz and as a harpist into the world, and just the merger of jazz and European classical music as it relates to this instrument, because primarily the harp is really associated with European classical music, and how this instrument interprets the sound of jazz by way of that conversation.
That's wonderful. That sounds really exciting. We put some music up on our workshop page. And
Yes.
if people just listen to those, will they be prepared for the workshop or do they need to do any other studying?
I feel like they will be. It will give them an insight to the sound, especially if they have. If I'm not certain what you put up, but to give them the opportunity to even hear harp doing jazz standards and its voice in that. So when I finally started to really to study jazz, one of the things I found was important for me to do was to actually to play the standards, because the standards for me are they're the foundation. They are the bones of jazz. And so in being able to utilize that conversation, that education that comes from those jazz standards that are whole studying themselves and then launching off into something else.
Destiny, you've been getting some really wonderful affirmation lately. I'm so thrilled about that with the San Francisco Symphony Soundbox performance that you curated and
Yeah.
this wonderful grant recognition. Can you tell us about that?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I got an email from the San Francisco Symphony in like early December 2020, says, "Would you come and curate a sound box for us?" And I was like, who says no? Inside I'm going, "You're crazy." But my mouth goes, "Yes, I would love to." And so, and so that experience with them, because here we are 2020, and then I didn't hear from them for like a month and a half because it was Christmas and such. January, straight meetings talking about what is your vision, what do you see, and stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And it was like, it's unlimited. I was like, oh, shouldn't have told me that. So, so just going inside my head and saying, what is it that you really want to say musically? And just being invited to share my own vision and ideas. And so I called it resilience, because all of us who were going through the pandemic were moving through a time where it was feast of feathers, and a lot of times feathers. And just pulling from my arsenal of musicians that I really enjoyed. So
The breadth of the repertoire was really wonderful and very nourishing. So I think it
ooh,
really came across.
that was what I wanted to do, was to actually to nurture the human spirit, which is really my primary reason for being on the planet, and my music is about that. So that, and then the Chamber Music America, the digital residency. Oh my gosh. So here, I'm a member of Chamber Music America, and for those of you who don't know them, really support them, just
Oh,
like we're
yeah.
supporting amateur music. And so they said, we want to do this digital residency. And initially, the residency would have been one you would have had to do in person with folks. They said, well, we already know that y'all are struggling and can't do that with people. So here the residency is, where we're going to do a 3 day with nobody in the audience, literally live streaming, and to your audience and the audience that we want to connect with.
Wonderful. That's so exciting. So when does that live stream happen?
So my live stream is going to be is in November, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th of November. So it's going
Oh,
to be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And the objective is to live stream to Facebook and YouTube and do just do them three back to back. It'll be at 12 o'clock time, Pacific Coast Standard Time, 3 o'clock East Coast Standard Time.
well, this sounds wonderful. Let me just ask you one other question, which is, well, actually, two other questions. Let me just ask you,
Yeah, greedy.
will you be demonstrating some jazz technique in the workshop?
You know, I intend to do that. And even for me, as I shared a jazz standard, because that's what
Oh,
folks are.
great.
So that will be what I will do is I will demonstrate a jazz standard by way of how Destiny hears it, and something that's going to be familiar to the ear, and my take on that,
That's
because
great.
that for me that's real important for people. It's it's like making a great meal. You could make this whole outlandish meal, but if you can't make a pot of rice and and some type of delicious chicken that you see those foundational things that you know are always good, you can make this big elaborate thing. And I have that, but I know I need to show folks the foundation as I've come to understand them, and share that with them, as well as talk about my jagnas and maybe some other piece that is originally mine.
That's fantastic. That'll really, really be fun. And what do you hope that people will take away from the workshop?
There are a couple of things. One of the main things is that the two women that I say I stand on their feet, not their shoulders, because I'm not bad enough there to do that, you know. But I want to take away the opportunity for them to do their own research on these two unsung heroes. They are just really starting to get their flowers, and to also to start to listen to the possibilities of what the instrument has done and is going to do.
I know it's going to be fantastic and we're going to have a great time. I can't wait.
I'm excited too. I'm trying to keep